Rick Wilson is an author, commentator, political consultant, and editor-at-large of the Daily Beast. He's also a co-founder of the Lincoln Project, a group of Republicans who have challenged what they see as the extreme behavior of former President Trump. Rick Wilson, great to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, so there's a lot of politicians here in Florida who would like to be president. Rick Scott, Ron DeSantis, Marco Rubio. What's your take on what they're thinking about the upcoming impeachment trial?
Well, look, I think all of them in their secret heart of hearts, they want to have it both ways. They would love to have Donald Trump impeached. They would love it, love it, love it. Marco Rubio would love it. Rick Scott would love it. Ron DeSantis would love it, because then they could steal all of the momentum of Trumpism in their heads. They could say, I'm the real inheritor of the MAGA base, and Donald Trump was done bad. He was done wrong by those evil liberals in Washington. And at the same time, clearing away a tremendous obstacle to their futures. Because Donald Trump is going to say that he's running in 2024. He's going to hold the line and say, I'm running, I'm running, I'm running. He's going to raise hundreds of millions of dollars from his supporters because he's going to claim that he's going to run in 24. These guys won't have that money. Trump will be there like an eclipse over the political sun that they want to be shining. They want shining on them until that moment. So they would love to see Donald Trump impeached. They would love it, but privately in their heart of hearts.
But could Rick Scott and Marco Rubio vote to convict President Trump and not lose that Trump base?
Absolutely not. Neither one of them will vote to convict Trump, no matter how clear the evidence, no matter how much they should. They have completely collapsed in terms of their own moral landscape on whether or not Trump is a candidate they can support publicly, or whether they can take the political heat of standing up for what's right. They can't. They will not. Neither one of those men will vote to convict Donald Trump. It will not happen, no matter how clear the evidence is. Look, we're just learning today that the Trump campaign paid the organizers of the rally $2.7 million. We're learning today that this is not just a conspiracy against the United States of America and an attempted seditious act of insurgency, but that it was paid for by the Trump campaign. These people will look at the evidence, they will stare it straight in the eye, and they will go, can't help you.
All right, so let's talk about the future of the Republican Party, especially as it affects Florida. Ex-President Trump now is saying that he might want to form a Patriot Party. What happens to the Republican Party nationwide and here in Florida? Does it divide? Does it split?
Well, the party is already fundamentally split. The party had an awful lot of voters from the suburbs, an awful lot of voters who are more educated, an awful lot of voters who are younger, already decide they can't be a part of a Trumpian-style Republican Party, which is definitionally authoritarian, which is definitionally driven by things that aren't about the traditional Republican principles like limited government, the rule of law, the Constitution, strong foreign policy, economic liberty. They can't be for those things because Trumpism is not those things. So if Trump split the Republican Party into his Patriot Party or his Trump Party, whatever you want to call it, Making America Great Party, whatever you want to call it, he will immediately take 50 to 60% of the current Republican base with him. They will move. They will go. They will kill the GOP. As I have predicted, everything Trump touches dies. It does. And the Republican Party may soon be the next victim of that curse.
So just getting back to the impeachment trial, does Mitch McConnell want to see Trump out of the way for 2024? Is he trying to clear the deck? Tell me how would that work?
Sure. Mitch McConnell, what he wants for 2022, when he's going to try to recapture the Senate, is to be able to reposition the party and say, last 4 years never happened. Ignore it. Look the other way. That was crazy. That was a drunk weekend in Tijuana. And say, this is the responsible grown-up Republican Party. We're about taxes and spending and limited government. It's not true. He knows it. We know it. The American people know it. But he's going to try very, very strenuously to frame the Republican Party in a post-Trump fashion as soon as he can.
So, all right, let's talk about a potential matchup between Ivanka Trump and Marco Rubio in 2022. Does she get in the race, do you think, against Marco Rubio?
Well, she is certainly doing a lot of the groundwork. There's a very senior Republican leader in the state of Florida who is offering and making plans to take her around to meet county chairmen, to meet Republican activists. to talk to folks around the state. So if they're not planning to run, they're sure fooling me, because she is clearly in a position where she sees that if she got in a primary with Marco Rubio, she would win the Republican primary. Because, no matter how much Marco was good to Trump, and no matter how many times Marco kissed up to Trump, or no matter how many times Marco, who I used to admire tremendously, no matter how many times Marco looked away from Trump's excesses and crimes and constitutional affronts and tweeted elliptical Bible verses, Marco knows that if Donald Trump says to his supporters one time, little Marco was never with me, Ivanka should represent Florida, he'll lose a Republican primary to her. Absolutely. Won't even be a blink.
All right.
In fact, Marco may run for president because he can't run for Senate if she gets in that race.
All right. So what role will the Lincoln Project play in 2022 here in Florida?
Well, look, we've got a lot of work to do ahead. We said we were going to go after Trump and eliminate the threat of, I'm sorry, my dog is barking in the other room. We're going to eliminate the threat of Donald Trump. We were going to go after Trumpism, which is an ongoing project. And we were going to target Trump's enablers. We'll see how that race shapes up. We've had a lot of people in Florida who violated their oath of office, who said that they swore to uphold the Constitution and yet were part of the sedition caucus in the House. Rick Scott was a part of the sedition caucus in the Senate. And as the chairman of the NRSC, he's going to have to answer to a lot of corporate donors he would like to have money from. When they ask him, why was it you backed overturning the votes of tens of millions of African American voters in this country? Because that is, let's not fool ourselves, what they wanted to do in the Senate by delaying the Electoral College result. They wanted to do what the Trump lawsuit sought, which was to disqualify and to erase the votes of tens of millions of African American voters. And Rick Scott was one of the few U.S. senators who was in favor of erasing the votes in the new Jim Crow caucus, of which he is now the finance chairman of the new Jim Crow caucus, to erase the votes of tens of millions of African Americans. That is something that I think Americans find outrageous. I know that corporate America, we've been talking to them the last couple of weeks about this. They are running away from Rick Scott and the Republicans in the Senate like crazy, because they don't want their brands attached to a group of people like Rick Scott and Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and Tommy Tuberville and Marsha Blackburn and Cindy Hyde-Smith, who set out explicitly to disqualify the votes of tens of millions of African Americans.
Rick Wilson, thank you for coming back on Florida This Week. Great to have you here.
Great being with you. See you again soon.